Welcome to Giant Cocktails, a podcast where two lifelong fans talk about the San Francisco Giants while drinking homemade cocktails. Now, here are your hosts, Ben and Matthew Henry.
Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of Giant Cocktails Midweek Review. I'm your host, Matthew Henry, the maestro of metrics, ready to pitch you the latest in Giants gossip and cocktail concoctions. But wait, it gets better. Joining me, as always, is the one and only Sultan of Sluggers, the Grand Master of Garnishes, and the man who can whip up a mojito while debating the merits of the designated hitter, Ben Henry. So get comfy, pour yourself a drink, and let's get this show on the road with Giant Cocktails Midweek Review. How you doing, Grand Master of Garnishes?
I'm doing pretty well. You know, things are going all right, I guess.
Are there merits to the designated hitter, though? I don't know if ChatGPT got that right.
Merits to the designated hitter allows you to rest your best players but still get their bat in the lineup. Other than that...
Prevents from bad baseball at-bats?
Yeah, I mean, there was nothing like seeing the pitcher come up after your team had scraped together a rally. You know what I mean? And there's 2 outs. That was a letdown. And I don't miss that. So those are the merits of the designated hitter. Beyond that, okay. No, not really. Not really. It's fake baseball. It's the older generation's Manfred runner, which just makes me worry that the Manfred runner is never going away.
It's never going away, Ben. And I think that's where I feel like the next generation of baseball players will never understand the strategy that went behind having the pitcher coming up. And you'd have to look like an inning or 2 ahead to see when the pitcher spot was coming. There were all these things that the manager would have to think about that around that. And now it's just gone away. It made it so much easier to manage. You know, you and I could just sit in the dugout and decide what we wanted to do. It's
right.
So much easier.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it also makes the opener strategy more viable because you can really count on having another reliever go 3 or 4 innings in the middle.
Okay. All right. Well, we're sounding old, so we should probably just move on.
This is a cranky old man just talking about baseball. And folks, if that's what you like about the show, you're welcome. If that's not what you like about the show, we're sorry, and we'll continue.
All right. Let's move on. Ben, I assume you brought a cocktail to the show. What are you drinking?
Well, Matthew, I was busy doing some critical baseball research. I don't know if you know this, but a former scorer for the All-Star game and baseball writer extraordinaire, gave us an assignment out there on the social network, formerly known as the Other Social Network. And I was hotly researching that, in which I made an amazing discovery. The Giants bullpen, Matthew, in September of 2010 only gave up 2 earned runs in the entire month of September, except for 1 game in Colorado where they gave up 6. Anyway, I had to rush off and I didn't have a cocktail planned. And so I just was like, I'm going to make a gin and tonic. And then I was like, I'm going to throw bitters on top of it. And I call it the Bitter Gin and Tonic because, folks, I'm bitter. I am bitter. This Giants team is so far away from the 2010 team, which had a great bullpen too. But anyway, what's in a bitter gin and tonic? 2 ounces of gin, 4 ounces of club soda, 2 dashes of Angostura bitters, and 1 lime wedge. You put the gin in the rocks glass with rocks. And no, I don't mean rocks. You top that with club soda. Then you add your dashes of bitters, and then you squeeze real hard and real angry your lime wedge, and you throw it in there. And then you lick up the cocktail that splashed out, because you don't want to waste that. And then you drink it. That's how you make a bitter gin and tonic.
I want you to take a big drink of that right now, man. I think you need it. just big old swig.
Yeah, okay, thank you, man.
All right.
It's almost gone now.
Okay, what Ben is alluding to as far as the homework assignment by friend of the show, Andrew Baggerly, was that we put out there that Ben had found the month of September of 2010, the Giants gave up more than 3 runs only 3 times the entire month. One of them was a typical Colorado game where the score just got away from you. But the only other 2 times they scored more than 3 runs was 4 runs, twice. And so then we put that out there as, well, you want to know what the best rotation in baseball looks like? Look for September 2010. And then Andrew Baggerly said, you think that's great? You should look at what the bullpen did during that month. And that's what Ben was alluding to, where they only gave up how many?
8 earned runs the entire month, Matthew. 6 of them in one game, a game that they lost 10-9 in Colorado. It's unfathomable. It's like, oh, that's why they won the World Series. Wow, they were good. I mean, it just makes me want to go back in time and just relive that month over and over and over again.
All right. Well, so I brought a cocktail to the show that I'm just calling a Tiki Old Fashioned because I was going to bring something else to the show and then I ran out of limes. And so I had to quickly pivot. So I'm doing a Tiki Old Fashioned, which has 2 ounces of white rum, a ½ ounce of Velvet Falernum, 1 dash of peach bitters, and 1 dash of cherry bitters. Add all those ingredients into a mixing glass with ice, mix for 30 seconds, strain into a rocks glass with fresh ice. I have a big chunk, and then garnish with Luxardo cherries. I'm having 3 of them because you can do that when you make your own. So that's what I'm making, a Tiki Old Fashioned. I don't know if it's a Tiki Old Fashioned. It's got Falernum, it's got rum, it's got bitters. I'm calling it a Tiki Old Fashioned. So that's what I'm drinking, Ben.
Sure. I mean, if you put it in a mug shaped like Logan Webb, it's definitely Tiki.
I should have done that. I need to get a mug shaped like Logan Webb.
We're going to have to buy them on eBay. I wanted to go to the game that day, but I was not feeling well, so I canceled at the last minute. But sad.
Sad.
Didn't get my Webby Tiki mug.
Well, I'm sure there'll be more. I'm sure there'll be like a Camilo Tiki mug.
Yeah.
You show up on your deathbed on that game.
I would definitely have showed up for that. Yeah. If it was a Camilo Tiki mug, I would have bought 10 tickets.
All right. Well, what are we going to talk about today, Ben? What are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about who's hot and who's not. We haven't done that in a while. And we've got some new faces. Let's see, how are they doing? Especially the hitters. I think we need to look at that, see what those are doing. So we're going to do that. And then I think we do need to address the playoff chances. It's not looking good.
I don't want to.
Okay, well, we should. For the benefit of our fans, so they're not being misled. They're not thinking about how that could happen. Ben Kaspik's over there on Locked On talking about that there's still a chance. Folks, there's not a chance.
There's no chance. You're all watching the Giants too much. You need to watch the D-bags and the Padres. You got to watch what they're doing.
Ben, we'll get to that. And then, of course, we'll finish up.
I mean, do you know
with our lightning round. Okay, Ben, take another swig. Bud.
It's going to be...
Oh, man, he just drained it. All right.
It's empty now. You happy? What am I going to do now?
Surprised you didn't make a double. All right.
I hadn't really got myself worked up then. I was so distracted by the homework assignment from Baggerly that I got, and then I had to rush, and then only as I was thinking about making a cocktail, that's when I got angry. And I squeezed the line. Anyway, let's just move on.
Anyway, folks, today is Wednesday, August 7th as we record this podcast. We are recording a little earlier than usual, so we're recording before. Actually, the game has already started, and I haven't even looked at the score yet. I assume we're losing.
No, it was, maybe. It was 0-0.
No, it is 0-0 at the end of 2. Okay, so the game is going on as we record this podcast, so we won't really know how they're doing, but it is Blake Snell's return to the mound after his no-hitter. Before this game, the Giants were 57-58. They briefly got up to 500, Ben. 2 games over homeostasis, and then homeostasis started pulling them back in. It's a hard force to overcome, homeostasis. So they are back. Today's will tell whether they're back up to 500 or back down to homeostasis. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, I do have a question for you, Ben. I know I don't usually ask you questions, but I do have a question for you. You've reached the pinnacle of your career. Okay.
Yeah, I have.
Like, just hypothetically, one day it's like the best thing that could ever happen in your career happens. Oh. How do you show up to work the next day?
This is a hypothetical, like something really great.
Exactly.
Happened. Yeah.
Well, it'll have to be a hypothetical in your case.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How do I show up to the next day? Like a king. First of all, I come in way late. Okay.
Right.
Way late. And I usually came in late anyway, but I would come in later than that even. And I would come strolling in, just a whole lot of swagger. And then I would sit down at my desk, push my keyboard out of the way because I don't need that. Never really did. Throw my feet up, lean back, start making myself a cocktail with one hand. That's how I would show up.
All right. Well, the reason I ask is, how does Blake Snell show up after his no-hitter?
So he should have come back with a no-hitter.
A perfect game. That would have been
yes, you're right. A perfect game.
Because I think that's the only way you can up that, right? So.
Well, I don't think that's the only way.
No?
The best is 9 immaculate innings. Now, the question is a swing and miss better than a called strike? I don't know.
It depends on the pitch. If there's a curveball that just buckles a guy's knee, I think that's just as good as a swing and miss.
Or one of those old Barry Zito in his prime where it looks like a Hayden Birdsong fastball. That's how high it is.
Yeah.
And then it just drops right in and lands on the plate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know if there's a way to segue into this. I'm just going to ask you, Ben. We've gotten to a point now. We're past the trade deadline. We've gotten some new guys in, like Encarnacion and Kana and all that. So I think it's a good time to look at the stats and see how are our guys doing with the bat, and just kind of curious. And so,
well, who's contributing? Who's not?
Right. And I got to say, I was actually a little pleasantly surprised that there's more people contributing than I think we're used to this year. Tyler Fitzgerald, of course, has hit so well this month that he was the National League Rookie of the Month for
That's right.
the month of the last month.
Which is in July. It was July, Matthew.
Okay.
Matthew, yeah.
Right.
July.
That's right. We're in August now. We are. Yeah.
It's important. It's an important month for you, July.
It is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was the Rookie of the Month, which is first of all, did I know that was a thing? I didn't. I mean, it makes sense, right? You have Player of the Week. Do they have Rookie of the Week? I don't know.
But
Matos was Player of the Week.
That's true. Oh, that's right. Yeah, he was. But we had a Rookie of the Month. What's his name? The guy.
Well, Luis Gonzalez.
Luis Gonzalez. That was it. Yeah.
Junior. Yeah, which kind of means these awards.
Don't get too excited. Is that what you're saying?
No, don't get too excited. although I was okay. Sometimes, Matthew, I listen to other Giants podcasts. Oh, you mentioned the other Ben, so I can mention Pavlovich and Little Kuiper. I was listening to their show, and they said that Buster Posey won that award. I mean, Tyler Fitzgerald is beyond Rookie of the Month, though. Tyler Fitzgerald did something that no Giants player has done since Barry Bonds, and which is hit 11 home runs in 17 games, which sounded like, wow, that's 2 prime numbers just dancing
It's a pretty
there.
arbitrary.
I mean, it very is arbitrary. It's okay, and I'm yeah, and I always know if prime numbers are involved, it's rare.
Oh,
right.
Okay,
That's just how prime numbers work. And yeah, but I mean, and he's carrying the team. I'm looking at the last 30 days, Matthew, and I sorted this by, no matter which way you sort the field here, Tyler Fitzgerald's name is on top. Oh, if you sort by name, he doesn't come up.
But you're right.
If you sort by name, it's Blake Snell, but he's not a hitter. It's Brett Wisely.
What's surprising, though, is that he doesn't, and the whole month, he didn't have the most at-bats on the team. He wasn't even...
Well, remember this, Matthew. Remember when he started off with his 5-game homer streak?
Yeah, he had a big old stretch where there was no games.
Well, yeah, and he hit that first home run, and then he didn't play for 10 days. It wasn't that long, Bob Melvin, but it was way too long.
It's bad when your catcher has more at-bats than your best hitter.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Patrick Bailey, 85 at-bats in the last 30 games. Tyler Fitzgerald, 69.
Where is Tyler Fitzgerald on this list?
He was 6th in at-bats over the last 30 days.
Oh, there he is. Wow. So think about this, folks. As good as Tyler Fitzgerald has been, Matt Chapman, Elliot Ramos, both of those make sense. Patrick Bailey, Mike Yastrzemski, who has played well over the last 30 days, by the way, and maybe Matthew is going to bring him up, and Michael Conforto all have had more at-bats than Tyler in the last 30 days.
And Michael Conforto, during that time, hit 222.
So Matthew, the emergence of Tyler Fitzgerald has really happened in the last 30 days.
It has. Yes.
That's it. It's just the last 30 days. It feels like it's been going on forever. But clearly, folks, it was not long enough. All right. Who else has been good recently? I want to change the stats to 7 days because you talked about how we had a few recent additions, and they're not going to show up very high on the list. Gerard, whose name I can say, has been quite. I think we envisioned him hitting a home run every game because that's how we're fans, right? We've got this guy down in AAA, comes from the magical land of Oaxaca. I mean, that's not where he's from, but he started the season in Oaxaca, and we see him tearing it up in AAA. And because we're fans, we think, oh, he's going to come to the major leagues and he's going to hit a home run every game. Well, he hasn't done that, Matthew, but he's been 2 for 4 in his last 2 games, and the game before that he had a pinch hit home run, and he has a 4-game hitting streak. So far, so good for Gerard, and he made a decent catch yesterday. Yeah, Gerard, doing well. 6 hits and 17 plate appearances with no walks. He doesn't walk, folks.
He's not up there to walk.
He's up there to hack, okay? He's up there to hit home runs or strike out.
Tyler Fitzgerald's gotten better in the last 7 games.
Yes, he has. Yes, he has. But a name who we haven't said, Matthew, who was an important part of this transition was Marco Luciano. He was supposed to come up. He was supposed to play DH. He was going to replace Jorge Soler in the lineup, and because, he doesn't have a position. And he has only been 2 for 14 with 6 strikeouts since he came back up. So far, that's not working out.
No, his last 7 games, he's 1 for 11, and he's only played 3 games during the last 7 days. So they're obviously. I think this might be an instance where Farhan thought one thing and Melvin's like, nah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Now, somebody that Bob Melvin did advocate for was Mark Canha, and he has been a pleasant surprise since he came up, Matthew.
He has.
Again, small sample size, but he's 3 for 9. And, so far, so good for Mark Canha. And unfortunately, Matthew, in one of the rare instances where we were totally and completely right, Mark Canha is here to replace Wilmer Flores. We did learn that. Wilmer is out for the rest of the season, in case you didn't know. He's going to have some sort of weird ultrasonic needle.
It's like the Star Trek thing where they like put that little thing over you and hit the button and then it like fixes you. That's
right. They don't have to cut you open or anything. It's just like they wave a wand over you, and then it takes 6 to 12 weeks of recovery.
Yes, that's where we haven't caught up to the sci-fi world.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. That part, not so much. Can't just jump up and run back into the fight. Yeah. So I mean, okay. Matthew, is it okay if I mention one other name who only has 6 plate appearances in the last 7 games and has 0 hits?
Yes, because I know you're dying to.
Brett Wisely. Brett Wisely has, Matthew.
Yeah, I think our man Bob has been like, all right, I'm also not playing him.
Yeah, squeezed as much juice out of that lime as you're going to get. Lamont Wade Jr. not doing well. It seems like he's just starting to come out of it, but in his last 7 days, 0 walks in 19 plate appearances.
That just seems so unlike him. Like, I don't know.
Agreed.
I don't know if he's ever gone that many stretches without a walk. So
yeah, and
who knows?
Did you talk about Patrick Bailey?
Did not. But yeah, it's almost become a liability with him at the plate. His discipline, he looks terrible at the plate, chasing after pitches, but he gives it back on the defensive side. So what are you going to do? But we were really enjoying a really good run of offense from him.
The bottom has fallen out, right? I mean, for his last 14 games, he's hitting 146. For his last 7, it's 042. And let me just jump back to 30 here. Well, past 30, I mean, obviously your last 30 is not going to be that great if your last 14 and 7 were that like that, but it was better, 212. And he's having non-competitive at-bats. He used to be the guy that you would want up there, and there were not many Giants that you would want up there when there was a runner on third with less than 2 outs. He's had a couple at-bats like that recently, and he has just struck out, usually chasing or popping out, and he just does not look good, and I am worried that we are into a second consecutive year of the Patrick Bailey swoon.
Yeah, well, he's getting tired again, and that's what happened last year.
Yeah, all that carb loading he did in the offseason.
No, didn't work.
Didn't work.
All right, we need to talk about playoff chances, Ben, and I don't know, I'm at work, and I'm typing away, I'm doing work stuff.
Right.
And then you just send me these random texts to just make me sad. And you send me a text today that says, did you know the D-Bags and Padres are closer to the Dodgers than the Giants are to the last wild card spot? Like, why? What did I do to you? Like, why do you just gotta like sit there and like just pick at me like that?
Well, Matthew, it's my ADHD brain. Sometimes I'm doing something that I'm just like, I wonder what the standings look like. And then I go read that, and then I'm like, I got to tell Matthew. And why do I have to share it? Because it hurts. And I have to get rid of the pain.
Okay, you're going to share that pain with me. Huh? You're going to transfer it over to me.
Yes, Matthew, I regret to inform you that the Diamondbacks... Wow, why did I say that? The D-Bags and the Padres are both closer to the Dodgers than the Giants are to the third wild card spot. And before today, the D-Bags had 2 teams to pass to take the division, whereas the Giants have 4 teams to pass to take the third wild card spot. And neither of those teams are the D-Bags or the Padres because they're in the first and second spots in the wild card. And you know what the D-Bags have done, Matthew? The Giants are playing this cupcake schedule in August, right? They're playing all these weak teams, and for their last 10, they're 7-3. The D-Bags, Matthew, are playing the Guardians. Remember, we went 1-2 against them when we saw them last in Cleveland.
Yep, I remember.
You know what the D-Bags just did there, Matthew?
Something good.
They swept them. Yeah. They swept them.
Yep.
Including a sweep on a doubleheader. I was excited that the Giants won a doubleheader against the Rockies at home in San Francisco. The D-Bags just did that against the Guardians in Cleveland. I think the D-Bags are going to catch the Dodgers, just like I predicted in the preseason. And I think that the team that finishes in third in the National League West will make the playoffs. Unfortunately, it's a team that is also 8-2 for its last 10. The stupid Padres.
Yeah, and you look at the Fangraphs odds on making the playoffs chart, and you're right. The Padres. So it says here the Dodgers still have a 74% chance of winning the division. The Padres have a 14% chance of winning the division, and the Diamondbacks have a 12% chance of winning the division. The Giants, on the other hand, have only an 11% chance to make the playoffs. So we have a lesser chance to make the playoffs than the Padres or the Diamondbacks do to actually win the division.
So it's not like the Giants are playing horribly against all these cupcake teams, right? This is the problem. Like, this is why people say it doesn't just matter how many games you are out, but how many teams you have to pass.
Right.
And I get it. Like, the Giants don't have to pass either of these 2 teams. They have to pass the Pirates. Really? The Pirates?
Really?
the Cardinals, the Mets, and the Braves. And I got to tell you, I don't believe in the Pirates. And I kind of don't believe in the Mets because even though the Mets have a decent roster, they're the Mets, right? The Mets are going to Met. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the Pirates are the Pirates, so I'm not really worried about either of those teams. But it's the Cardinals and the Braves. I mean, they have to pass all of those teams, and I just feel like, I feel like any one of those teams could go on a heater as well, and then that just dooms the Giants.
Yeah, so there's only a 10% chance of that happening. I mean, that's not great.
Yeah.
It's not great.
Yeah, that's why I'm bitter, and that's why I made the Bitter Gin and Tonic.
All right.
Well, all right, so that begs the question then, Matthew.
Yeah, what's the guy to do now that if we're not going to make the playoffs? What's the guy to do? What do we do? Just,
Well, I'll tell you what I'm doing.
Okay.
I mean, besides crying and moaning and groaning, I'm paying a lot attention to Tyler Fitzgerald, Elliot Ramos, Hayden Birdsong, and Kyle Harrison.
The future.
The future. Those are the four names that I am really, really interested in following. I want to see, are Ramos and Fitzgerald for real? If Fitzgerald finishes the season as strong as he has been the month of July, then I'll be a believer. If he has a downturn sometime in August and then a resurgence in September, I will also feel very confident about him being an emergent player rather than just, a guy on a ridiculously good run. And then it's Kyle Harrison and Hayden Birdsong. I want to see if these guys can finish the season, especially Kyle Harrison. Is he now fully formed major league pitcher? And is he just going to be a middle-of-the-road number 4, number 5 starter, or is he going to be an elite pitcher? So I'm really interested in watching that, and I'm really interested in Hayden Birdsong. And he didn't do great in his last one.
Yeah. I agree. I think that, what else are you going to do, right? Now you just got to look to the future and see how the teams play or how these players play and how they can contribute to next year and how they're going to help set up the decisions that are made in the offseason. If they really believe in these guys, then those are 2 less positions or 4 less positions in this case that you have to worry about. So, I think that's really where we're at right now. It's, who's going to be on the team next year, because we've got all these opt-outs. I think you mentioned before the show that last week we had mentioned that Robbie Ray didn't have an opt-out, but we learned then that he did. So he could be also out. So we could have Chapman could be gone, Snell could be gone, Robbie Ray could be gone, which really means that there's 3 huge spots that we've got to fill going into the offseason. And if that's the case, then you don't want to. You were really hoping that someone like Birdsong and Harrison and all these guys are playing at a level where you don't have to worry about it, that they are guaranteed to help the team next year.
Boy, howdy.
It's time for a lightning round.
Oh, yes, it is. It is time for a lightning round. Okay, Ben, question for you. Do you rubberneck accidents on the freeway?
I don't generally, because I know that that's bad for traffic, and generally you don't really see anything good anyway.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this, Matthew.
Okay.
There was an accident that I really did want to rubberneck, but unfortunately it was narrowly avoided, and so I didn't.
Unfortunately or fortunately?
Unfortunately. I really wanted this accident to happen.
Okay.
I really did. So, Matthew, the Chicago White Sox have just snapped a losing streak that was 21 games long.
Yeah.
They tied the American League record. The National League record, Matthew, is 23. So if they had lost yesterday, they would have lost their 22nd game, and they would have been going for loss 23, tying the Phillies in Oakland. I really wanted to go to that game, Matthew. I wanted to go to a Wednesday afternoon game in 2024 in Oakland, which has got to be a barren place to begin with.
You would have been the only guy there.
Yes, and that was my plan. I was going to wear a paper bag over my head, and I was going to write on it on the front, "I'm not here." And then on the back, I was going to write, "at Giant Cocktails."
Oh, good. All right. Put a little plug in no matter what. I like it.
Yeah. It's a little advertising. Can you imagine? I would have loved to have been at that game, and I would have been at that game, but no.
Yeah. Maybe one person would have saw it and started listening to it.
I think if I'd been wearing the paper bag and running around the entire stadium all by myself, like I could have talked to all of the people working there.
That's right. Okay. All right. Well. All right. Unfortunately, they won their game against the A's, snapped their losing streak, and so now you're here recording with me. So thank you. All right. Well, the next question: if you were Spencer Bivens, would you even unpack your bag when you got back to Sacramento?
I would have a bag in San Francisco and a bag in Sacramento.
That's the answer. Yeah, and a toothbrush, right? Just 2 toothbrushes, one in there and one there. You don't even have to just
yeah.
That
reminds me, there used to be this backup quarterback who played in the NFL. All he would bring with him on road trips was a toothbrush. because he knew that he could buy anything else that he needed just, around. So that's how he would just travel with his toothbrush. Imagine just putting that on the old X-ray machine, the conveyor belt, and just having that go through.
Oh man! All right. And then, I wouldn't unpack my bag either. I think, or two bags would be the answer for that. Finally, Ben, we've talked about it. Do you want to see the D-bags or Padres catch the Dodgers?
Yeah, I do. In fact, I want a specific team to catch the Dodgers.
Okay.
It's the summer of Summer's Eve, Matthew. I want the D-bags to catch the Dodgers. I do.
I agree. I mean, anytime the Dodgers don't win is always a win for the Giants, right? Just makes us feel better. If it can't be the Giants and it's not the Dodgers, then that's the next best thing.
Right. Well, I think it's the most insulting to the Dodgers and the Dodgers fan base, and so I really want that because I really want them to be insulted. But also, the D-bags, Matthew, I think are a good barometer. Like, they were roughly in the same sort of situation 5 years ago when Farhan Zaidi got hired, and I think they're a good barometer. And they are head and shoulders above the Giants. They're winning this race by a million miles, and I just want it to be worse. I want it to be obvious. I want it to be super obvious how much better that organization is than ours so that we can maybe fix this and move on.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us for today. Upcoming opponents, we still got a game and a half left of the Giants are winning 2-0. Oh, I spoke too soon. The Giants are now losing 3-2. Swear to God, 5 minutes ago they were winning 2-0. And so they're losing 3-2 in the third game. Still got a fourth game to go. And then we got Detroit, who are 54-60, fourth place in the American League Central. Notable players to play for both teams: Mark Canha, Robbie Ray, and forever Giant Derek Hill. All played for both teams.
Oh, right. And that's a wrap on the midweek review. Thank you for joining us. We will be back on Monday with the big show, where the cocktails will be stronger, but hopefully I'll be drinking them more slowly. And the rants will be longer. If you can't wait that long to get your fix, feel free to reach out to us on the social medias. You can find us on Instagram and Threads, where we go by the username Giant Cocktails. You can also find us on The Thing, formerly known as The Thing, and the other one named after the dinosaur elephant, at the same username. Don't forget, you can also listen to us on YouTube, so run over there to like, subscribe, and comment. But most importantly, be sure to leave us a positive review, like 5 stars positive, at your podcasting platform of choice, a.k.a. Apple Podcasts or Splenudify. Matthew, you were an enabler today.
Ooh.
Keep up the good work. Cheers, my friend. You made me chug that thing. Chug, 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 chug.
Cheers, Ben. Bye, everybody. Chug, 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 chug.
Goodbye!
Thank you for listening to the Giant Cocktails Podcast. Until next time, bottoms up.
Damn it.
We had it figured out, and now...
Oh, there you go.
I was trying to get the confetti, but we're very reliable on getting the thumbs up. And we've also figured out how to do confetti and balloons, but we don't know which one does which.
Yeah, I got the balloons to go.
Hey,
all right.
You got the balloons.
Oh,
and the confetti. Ah!
Yes, I win.
Damn it.
Okay, all right. What are we talking about?
Yeah. Tyler Fitzgerald. Right. Okay, Matthew, I'm going to do this without breaking the rules or the law. So here's what happened. Blake Snell, he did that thing where he didn't throw enough of the things, but he threw too many of the other things. And then the guy, he did the thing like 1/4 of the way, but not the usual way, the less glamorous way. And then he did a thing that you like, and then he did another thing that you like. Oh, but he also did a thing that was really bad, that made it so that he couldn't get the double thing, the two things together.
The two together, yeah.
And so because of that, he only got the 1 instead of the 2. And then he let up another one of those 1/4 things, but this time the glamorous way. And so then that had the worst thing that could happen for one guy in the lineup. He made it all the way.
Yeah, all the way around.
Things.
Yep.
Yeah. And then the next guy came up and did the absolute worst thing.
Yeah.
And he did it. He did the full Monty. and so now the Giants are losing 3-2. Did you say parrot? Because parrots are dinosaurs, Matthew.